I'm Janice Hossager. After 3 decades in the marketing business and many years of being an entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about marketing. Join me as we talk about marketing, small business, and life in between. Welcome to My Weekly Marketing.
Good PR, meaning public relations, is something that we'll all benefit from, any small business. In case you're new to all of this, public relations refers to media coverage by a newspaper or blog or any news outlet that shines a positive light on your business. It's not paid, it's a cooperative engagement where you share your expertise with their audience. Just getting PR for your business can be powerful in any respect, but getting coverage from a Tier 1 publication like the New York Times, USA Today, or say NBC can be really beneficial. And even better yet, getting backlinks from those top-tier digital articles to your website. That's what we're talking about in this episode. Christopher Panteli is my guest today. He's an entrepreneur and digital marketing professional, brings a unique blend of traditional business experience and digital innovation to his entrepreneurial journey. He's the co-founder of Linkify, a digital PR agency that offers ultra-premium Tier 1 coverage and authoritative link building, because PR is not just for getting seen by readers. It's also getting noticed by search engines and AI. He's got some great things to tell us about how to get your business noticed by the big guys, your audience, and the search engines. Here's my talk with Chris. Good morning, Chris, or hello, Chris. I guess it's afternoon for you. Welcome to My Weekly Marketing.
Thank you for having me.
So I read your bio in the intro, but I'd like to start out kind of showing my guests that everybody starts small, right? We all have a beginning point. So tell me your story. How did you get here?
Oh, that's good. Good question. So I went to university and got a degree in economics, and then I immediately took over the family fish and chip shop business. So I'd always wanted my own business, but and I'd worked in the family shops from like 13 years old. I didn't really know what to do after uni, so I just went straight into that, and I was doing that for about 12 years, and then I could see the fast food industry was sort of on the decline. It was becoming increasingly more competitive. You had like a healthier eating push as well. Prices were continually being battered across the board. And I became a little bit disillusioned with it as a business model and as an industry. And that's when I started my first personal finance website. I thought I could leverage my academic background. So I started a personal finance blog and quickly started to get traffic and pretty quickly started making like $1,000 a month. So that sort of proved the viability of an online business. And I was like hooked as soon as I earned the first dollar. But yeah, as soon as it started making significant money, I was hooked. And throughout that journey, I started learning about the importance of getting free traffic from Google, so SEO traffic, and how valuable that was, and that it was a long-term strategy. Sort of half that formula was content, and the other half was backlinks. So I started trying to build backlinks myself, and I came across a platform called Harrow at the time, which stands for Help a Reporter Out, and that was a way that it would connect small business owners with journalists in order to provide expert commentary that they were sourcing for their articles. And if you impressed the journalist and they liked your comments, they liked your quotes, then there's a good chance that they would quote you within their article, and a really good chance that they would link to you as well. So I started doing this. I won my first link on New York Times, I think it was, around Christmas. And I was, yeah, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
And as we were growing, I thought, whoa, this is starting to get to the point where I can start outsourcing some of the link building. So I started to try and outsource some of the guest post link building aspect of it. And that's when I came across my now business partner. So I found him on Upwork. He was running a marketing agency, and I said, can you do this guest post campaign, skyscraper campaign it was called at the time. And he started that, and then he looked at my link profile and said, well, where have you got these links from? Like New York Times, BBC, Forbes, Business Insider. And I said, oh, I've been doing this Harrow. And he said, whoa, these are like the best links you can get.
Yeah.
Do you think you could do that for some of his clients? And I said, well, I don't see why not, as long as they give me permission to pitch as them. So we took on a few of his clients, and then we took on a few more, and then a few more, and then organically it grew. I was able to leave my job, and we started the Linkify agency. That was about 4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that is impressive. I mean, I kind of played around with Haro for a while, and it's no longer in existence, of course, but it's hard to get picked up.
Mm.
And especially by the big names. So you must have some insight as to how to actually, put together an email that actually gets attention and gets picked up by the reporters. Do you have any insight for that, just in general?
Yeah, it has changed a bit. It was a bit easier when I was doing it.
Okay.
With the onset of AI, it's really all about um, marrying the two sides of the equation for what journalists want to see, and that is a good, strong pitch, but also um, provable, verifiable credentials and expertise that align with the topic of what they're asking. So for your
Mhm.
audience and most people listening, if you are a real business owner, then this isn't a difficult thing to do. It becomes tricky. Like a few years ago, Harrow and those sorts of platforms were getting spammed by people that owned multiple websites. Maybe they had a website in the gardening space, they had a website in the CBD space, and they were just online marketers, and they were trying to tell the journalists that they were an expert gardener and they were also an expert in CBD, and it doesn't wash now. Like the journalists, um, they want to be including really verifiable, credentialed experts,
Yeah.
but it actually has made it a lot easier to get world class coverage as long as you um, choose the queries that are suitable for you to answer and provide a good, solid piece of commentary that's unique and thoughtful. Then you've got a really good shot of the journalist liking it and including it within their piece.
Would you say that that's kind of key to getting any kind of press coverage for a small business? It's just making sure that
Yeah,
you have, yeah, okay.
and the way that most people fall down on this is that they just haven't got the basics in place. So you have to think that this engagement with the journalists in order to get coverage is a competition. There's many other people that are trying to do this because it's such a valuable thing to get.
Mhm.
Um, but the journalists, they are working in a fast paced environment, and they want to get good commentary back, and then they want to be able to quickly verify who you are. And this just goes down to super, super simple things like having a clear about button in the navigation of a website. So the journalist will come and look at your website, and they want to click on the website. And as soon as they can't see an about to like, and they've got to go 3 levels deep they'll just move on to another pitch, and you'll lose that pitch. So clear, clear navigational ability within the website to find out who is behind that website. Then when they get there, they want to be able to see the person that's pitched them. So you're the CEO of the company, about page, there's you, the CEO, your name, and a picture. They also want to double verify that. So they're not just going to trust an about page. They'll want to see some social proof on social media. And the most popular is LinkedIn. So it's good to have
Mm.
like a small LinkedIn favicon or icon on the website. And then also have a well built out LinkedIn profile with your name, your qualifications, and also the name of your business. Like I'll see so many potential clients come to us that own fantastic businesses, and they're not on the about page. And then you click on their LinkedIn page and there's no reference to their business on their LinkedIn page. So the journalists will just move on. So, but it's really simple stuff that can skyrocket your win rate when you're engaging in this sort of stuff.
And it's also important, right? Because I got my start in PR years ago, but it's really also important to keep in mind that they also, you need to put yourself in their shoes and know what they are looking for in terms of quotes, in terms of what will benefit them, what make them look good too. So, like, I think I never heard that about LinkedIn though, so that's good to know. Just really make
Mm,
sure that you're verifiable and that you are a real person and that you really are who you say you are, right?
yeah. And that's a great point, putting yourself in their shoes. Like I remember when I first started and I was trying to like reference a blog post on my website to see if they would, if they, but that's not what they'd asked for. Like you've got to read really, really carefully what they've asked for. If they've asked for 2 sentences on a 2 sentence opinion on something, or they've asked for a couple of bullet point suggestions on destinations that you could go to, or name a tool that you'd recommend, one upside, one downside, like do what they've asked.
Mm-hmm.
Don't send them a 2-page PDF document when they've asked for 3 sentences. Don't like shoehorn your product or your service into a pitch. Like just do what they've asked. Know that they're writing an article for their editorial process of the publication that they work for. So if you own a health clinic or a rehabilitation center and they've asked a health query, and you are a health professional, and they've asked for 3 solid pieces of advice on X, Y, and Z, then give them those 3 solid pieces of advice. Don't try and promote your business, because that's not what they're looking for, and they just won't engage with that.
Right, right. So, your sweet spot is really using PR to get backlinks and help your search engine optimization, or SEO, right? So, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But since you also do PR, I want to know, like, if I'm a small business owner, what steps should I be taking when developing a PR strategy? Should I be going to sites like Haro, which isn't in existence anymore, but there are other similar ones, right? So is that where you suggest, or outreach, following people on Twitter or X? Just really reaching out, or what are the steps that you take in terms of developing a strategy for getting press coverage?
Yeah. Okay. So there are, we break it down into 2 forms. Inbound digital PR, which is where you are actively scouring for requests from journalists to quote experts within their articles. So Harrow was the biggest provider of this service. It then switched over to Connectively. It was owned by Sizzy, and it's now shut down. It does no longer exist. The original founder of that, Peter Shankman, he's now launched a new service called SOS, Source of Sources. Works in the exact same way as Harrow used to. Thrice daily emails, Monday to Friday, lots of different publications sourcing for different expertise, completely free. So 100% sign up there. And there's other inbound request opportunities as well. Quoted, spelt with a Q. W, sorry, yeah, spelled with a Q, but WOTD. Another 5 free pitches per month, I think. And then also you have some paid platforms like Press Plugs, Editorial is another one. Another free one is Pressflow. So sign up to as many as you can, and most of them have like a free sort of account. And that's where you're going to be spending your time, setting aside a few hours a day, looking for those inbound requests and seeing what suits you. If you own an accountancy firm and you're a CPA or a CFP or an accountant, then look for those accountancy queries and broader finance queries. So you want to go as broad as possible within your strict niche. And that's basically inbound digital PR. You can also follow journalists across social platforms like X, Blue Sky, and Threads are the 3 main popular. You'll want to find journalists that are writing about topics within your vertical and follow them, set alerts. When they do a request, you'll see it, and they'll often provide an email so you can freely reply and hopefully give some good commentary and get quoted. Then you've got outbound PR. So rather than waiting for journalists that are actively working on a story, looking for experts to come to you with requests, or put a wide net out for requests, this is where we're going to come up with a story and take that to the journalists. So it's another approach. You can sort of control the narrative a bit more as you're the brand, the business behind the story. But this starts sounding like quite a big task, as opposed to just looking for emails and replying to the ones that you like. And it can be. And when you start going, like, looking for that national coverage, if you own an accountancy firm, you can't just contact journalists and say, hello, I'm Bob. I've got an accountancy firm. Tell everybody to make sure they do their taxes this year, because it's not interesting and it's not going to get picked up by anyone. So it's got to be newsworthy, which is where you have to start gathering data and finding interesting things that we can react to the current news cycle. So if a big firm, let's say Beyonce was in the news because she didn't file her taxes on time, then as an accountant firm, you could then react to that news and say, write a story about what are the consequences of not doing your taxes in time as per what's currently happening with Beyonce. So you can see already why journalists are going to open that email, because it's going to be satisfying that current news cycle and the editorial pieces that are going out from their publication. But even that is can be a bit difficult and complicated. So my advice for small businesses is you guys have expert knowledge, really, really qualified and credentialed, and you just want to find that regional news within your area. So normally there's going to be maybe 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, let's say, newspapers, TV channels, radio stations that have got websites within your local or uh, local area or slightly broader area. Just find all the journalists that are covering topics related to the business that you're in. So if you own an accountancy firm, find all the journalists within your area for those publications that are writing about accountancy. And then just look for news, either national news that will affect your local area or local news, which is obviously affecting the local area. Let's say you live in a local area, you're in an accountancy firm, and that local jurisdiction raises local taxes. As an expert, you would just naturally have a very interesting and credible like commentary to have about that, and you can just send journalists an email. So there's no need to do big lists or cold outreach. You just, this has happened in our area. I'm a professional accountant operating in this area, and here are my opinions on how it's going to affect our area and what people can do and what people should think. And, just a few paragraphs can build a list of those 30, 40 journalists, and you can send off that information. And you will be surprised how easy it is to get coverage, that local press coverage for you and your business, just because of that topical relevance to the area and your expertise and the fact that your business is in that local area.
Brilliant. That sounds great.
Mm.
So now talk to me a little bit about backlinks and doing PR for SEO. Is there anything that needs to be done differently? Is there a difference between traditional PR and PR that's focused on SEO?
Yeah. So all it is the end result, the deliverable. So as SEOs, we inherently know the value of the backlink for our organic search traffic. So the more high quality, strong backlinks you have pointing to your website, then the more that Google will trust your website, the more it's going to increase your rankings and send you more traffic. So if you run a local business, let's say you've got a roofing company or an accountancy firm or a plumbing business or HVAC business in a local area, a certain amount of your calls and your leads are going to come from people that have typed into Google plumbing company near me. Right. And you're going to either be in the map pack, the little part at the top that's got the 3 locations in the map pack. And then further down, you're going to have those organic results. So Bob's Plumbing might be spot 1 in that local area. And if someone clicks on that and they need a plumber, then you've got a good chance that they're going to call you and you're going to close that deal and do that business. Whereas if you're spot 10, very few people are going to scroll down to the bottom of page 1, and almost no people are going to go to page 2. So you want to be at the top. And the way that you get at the top is you make sure you've got good content. So content covering all of the services that you offer, well written, some informational content as well, and then also backlinks. But the thing is, people in small local businesses, what they don't realize is they are exactly what journalists want to quote, because they've got those expertise and those credentials. So, and it's PR is oftentimes is very PR friendly, like HVAC, plumbing, personal finance, accounting, roofing, even like legal. Just all of these things are really, really, really always in the news, and journalists are always looking to quote those experts to provide proof of what the content that they're writing in their story, to give it credibility. And if you can get those links, then you're going to start seeing that your rankings increase far above and beyond that of your competition. There really isn't much you need to do differently other than just be, I suppose, disappointed if you get quoted in, let's say, realtor.com and they haven't linked. So traditional PR is about coverage. How much coverage can you get? Can you drive can you drive brand, and can you drive information behind a product and a service? Whereas digital PR link building is about, okay, that's great. All these people are talking about me, but I need a link. I want that link from
Mhm.
realtor.com. I want realtor.com to say my name and then include that hyperlink. So if someone clicks on it, it takes them to my website, because that is what the Google crawlers will see. And that's the juice that it's passing to your site.
So there are follow links and there are no follow links, right? Can you ask them to link to your site? Since you're listening to this podcast, I'm guessing you must either love marketing as much as I do, or could maybe use a little guidance marketing your own business. So why not download my free marketing playbook featuring the Trail to the Sale framework? It'll take you through each step of the buyer's journey so you know exactly what to do to nurture your audience in a way that's right for you right now. No more marketing overwhelm. Just visit JaniceHostiger.com/trail and you'll be on your way.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, no follow, do follow. Don't worry about that.
Okay.
That's digital PR is inherently going to be a mix anyway. The journalists will have no control over the way that the links are tagged. That will be down to the
Okay.
editorial policy of the publication. We used to think that no follow links didn't pass juice, but actually that's really not the case. We did a joint study actually. My agency and another chap called Carl Roof. So we did a blind single variable test. So we ranked 5 pages in Lorem Ipsum on Google, which is like made up
Mm-hmm.
gibberish language, identical pages. And we sent a no follow link to the page that was in spot 3. And that was the only thing that was different across those 5 pages, was that single no follow link sent to page 3. And within 24 hours, that jumped to page 1. So that as a
Oh, wow.
single signal was a ranking signal that Google noticed and immediately put to spot 1. But also you want your link profile to look natural. So if you have got an unnatural looking link profile, because don't forget, links is something which can be gained. Like digital PR link building is completely white hat. There's like 3 camps, white hat, grey hat, black hat. So grey hat, black hat, those guys are trying to game the system because it is just a system. It's an algorithm. It can be cracked. We know that links work. We can get links many different ways: PBNs, niche edits, guest posts, lots of different grey hat, black hat ways to get links. And we know links work, so people will get these, but Google doesn't like to see you gaming the system.
Right.
And there is traceability to sort of all sorts of link building outside of digital PR, because digital PR is what all normal businesses engage with. It's just a completely normal thing to do. And the link is a byproduct of a healthy business procedure, which is engage in the media. But really, we're just doing it because we want the link. Yeah.
Oh, that's good to know about follow and no follow. I didn't realize that. So that's awesome.
Mm.
What about social media? What does that play a role in, backlinks? And if somebody shares an article or something about you in social media, does that benefit the business in terms of SEO?
In terms of which way around, so you've won the coverage and then they share it on social, or just you get picked up about a story on social first?
I guess either one. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
so yeah, so getting yourself quoted in a tier 1 publication is great, because these publications will then share across their social platforms, and the larger, bigger, more established publications will have sometimes fairly significant social followings, which means that will get put out to a lot of people, and they will go and read the article, and then they will click the links within the article, and then you will get a lot of referral traffic to your website. Google will see that referral traffic. They will track that in like Chrome browsers and things like that, and they'll start seeing click data. If you've got a good website, they'll be staying on your website. So it's all positive signals being sent. So that's why it's so powerful. It's not just the inherent SEO value of the link, but it's not a link you've bought off Fiverr and it's buried on some website that gets no traffic. These are
mhm.
often very high traffic websites with also large social followings as well. So you get all of that juicy, good stuff in that way. And then the other way around, if you do something which gets like picked up across social media. Let's say you own a plumbing firm and there's been a flood, let's say, in your local area, and your firm decided to go and help out some homes that had been flooded free of charge, and it sort of goes viral on social because you've done this good deed. Then that's great because Google still sees all these social posts and stuff, but you can then leverage that opportunity to get links. Like, journalists love to write about things that are doing well on social. So if
Right.
that's already a story in of itself,
Yeah.
like a classic PR hack is if you find a TikTok video which has gone viral, then you can just tell the journalists about that video and then either debunk or like support whatever they're talking about in the video, because journalists love that
Mhm.
social proof of virality on social. So yeah, it's all good stuff.
Great tips. So, do you have some tips, I would say, for, well, actually, let me ask this first. Now, we talked about top tier publications like New York Times or some other really BBC large organizations, news organizations. Oftentimes on the sites such as Haro or some of the others quoted, uh, bloggers will also request uh, information for news stories. Obviously, they don't have the pull that a tier one organization has. Are they still worth responding to and doing, or is that a place you would start, for example? Or how do you feel about that?
As an agency, we just don't engage those, but we've got standards that we have to adhere to as part of our deliverables. So we only want tier one for our clients, and so we blacklist and don't do anything that doesn't meet that criteria. However, if you're able to validate the like authenticity of the site, and if it is hyper niche relevant, then I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. But you do need to be careful that uh, that the blog it doesn't have like a high outbound link profile, so it's not linking to, let's say, loads of casino sites which are paying it
Mm,
to have the links there, because then you're putting yourself in like a bad neighborhood. Um,
mm,
you also want to be careful that it is they're not producing an article that's like that they're not doing for true editorial reasons. So maybe they're requesting commentary, and actually they're gonna take commentary from anyone. You might be a plumber and they might have like 30 people's opinions, like a plumber, an accountant, a lawyer, a gardener, and like it really what they're doing is they're just then going to leverage that piece of content to then reach out to all of those people to then do something. Like there might be a hidden motive behind it. So you obviously don't have to worry about that with tier one. Like the BBC's not wasting its time doing stuff like that. That's
right.
why there's like no risk. But I know what you mean. But personally, I would say don't be put off by the 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 strength and the power of that big name. I mean, I remember when I first started, I was looking for those smaller sites, thinking,
Mm,
oh, this is probably going to be easier, but it's just as easy. Like if you are qualified and you are who you say you are, and you're on your about page, and you've got a strong social proof on platform like LinkedIn, and you take the time to write a good pitch, like you can, and the journalist has and you've adhered to the journalist specifications, like they've asked you to give them 2 paragraph opinion on something, and they've said you must be a, let's say, licensed plumber, and
mhm.
you are a licensed plumber, and you've given 2 paragraphs. There is no reason whatsoever why you can't be in the BBC or Realtor.com or Nasdaq or the biggest sites in the world. So I wouldn't be put off. Just it can take a lot of time, but just like grind it out, set aside a bit of time each day, and you will get there.
Do you, after a while, kind of build relationships with those journalists,
Yeah,
and
that's
so
one of the
they
nice.
reach out to you? Hmm.
Yeah, that's one of the nice byproducts, and that's why it's quite nice to sort of try and do this like in a community. Just because the journalists, I mean, they're not lazy, but everybody finds the easiest thing
Sure.
they can do within the job
Yeah.
they're doing, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, if a journalist finds a source, and this source is like a really prominent plumber, and then they're working on a series of articles in relation to plumbing, then it's much easier for them just to go back to this great source and say, hey, look, I quoted you a couple of weeks ago, I'm working on a new article, rather than having to like resource for all new plumbers and then have to go through and check who they say. It's much easier for them to just go back to the original plumber. But what's nice is if you're, let's say, in a plumbing Facebook group, like an industry plumbing Facebook group, or you're engaging with the media, like tell a couple of friends to do the same thing, and then you can leverage your network to sort of pass around these opportunities. And the journalists don't mind that at all. So if you're in a Facebook group and you've been quoted on realtor.com, let's say 3 times, and the journalist comes back to you a 4th time and says, I've got another article I'm working on, you can just say, look, I'm on holiday for the next 2 weeks. I've got a friend, he's also a plumber. He's fantastic. Would you like to take commentary from him? I can put you in touch. The journalist will almost always say yes. You've given your friend that opportunity, and then hopefully they pay it forward the next time when they're also doing the same thing.
Brilliant. Very good. So when I was in grad school, I had a public relations professor who also owned a big PR agency in the city I grew up in, and he drilled in us that no matter what you do for PR, it needs to be measurable. Now, the nice thing about SEO is that it's very easily measured, right? Can you explain the process of measuring the ROI for PR campaigns that maybe don't generate, well, I suppose most of them would generate some backlinks, but are there tools or metrics that you use to measure the success of a PR campaign?
Yeah, sure. So for us, it's just the deliverable of the link. There is so many other, there's content and links, but we only do links. So we're not a full service agency. We only do digital PR links. And clients that come to use us is because they're already doing their content. They know they need good links. So for us, the deliverable is just the link. But in terms of the measuring the success or the quality of the campaign, it comes down to, we use a third party tool called Ahrefs, which can measure the strength of a domain based on its link profile, inbound and outbound link profile. So for example, BBC, I think, is like a 98, let's say, and then lesser sites go down accordingly. And then it also gives an estimated monthly organic sessions for each site. So I think the BBC is like 154 million monthly sessions, let's say. And what that means is how many times people go to that website per month as a direct result from a Google search. So they'll type something into Google and then click, and then they'll go to BBC. And Ahrefs can calculate that based on the number of keywords that website's ranking for, and then the estimated volume of each keyword. And then from that, it extrapolates how many monthly organic visitors it thinks that site's getting. So for us, a combination of those two metrics being the highest they possibly are is the measure of a quality link. So very high DR and very high organic monthly traffic. And this essentially puts these sites into what people believe to be the essence of that part of Google's algorithm in terms of how it ranks websites. So obviously, when Google first started, it was very difficult for them to decide, well, look, we've got this index of sites now. So we've figured out how to crawl the internet and find websites based on words. But when we return results to users, how do we know the 10 results that we're putting on page 1? How do we know that we can trust and that our users can trust the information that we're putting? It might have been like an article about something very serious like health or finance that's been written by some nutcase. Like, we need to make sure that these 10 results that we're listing, we can trust. So how are we going to measure the trust of that? And one of the biggest signals is links. So if a website is brand new, it's got no content, no links, then it's going to have no trust in Google's eyes. So if that website writes an article about, let's say, cancer, like a very serious topic, there's no chance that Google's going to put that website in its results because it can't trust it. If over time that website starts getting links from places like Healthline, Very Well Mind, the big health sites, these are the continual votes of confidence where Google's saying, well, hang on a minute, these sites, which we think are called seed sites. So like a handful of the most trusted sites in Google's eyes. If these seed sites are linking to this site, we trust these seed sites. So we must therefore, by association, begin to trust these other sites. So these seed sites are the big sites that you've heard of. So New York Times, New York Post, Forbes, the big sites that have got extreme high authority and massive amounts of Google organic traffic. And that's the other way that you know whether or not you can trust the site is, does it have huge amounts of organic traffic? Because Google will only send big boatloads of free organic search traffic from its search engine to sites it trusts. If it doesn't trust you, it's not going to give you traffic.
Right. Yeah. Oh, this is all such great stuff. Thank you so much, Chris, for filling us in about all of this. I think we get so focused on things like ads and social media. We kind of just like get into this little cul-de-sac where we're going round and round with the same things, that sometimes we leave out things as simple as this, where, I mean, it's not necessarily simple, but because it takes effort and it takes a strategy and takes time, but the payoff can be tremendous, right?
Yeah. Well, just to leave your listeners, I would say, get started. Make sure your about page is sorted and you've got LinkedIn, and sign up to those free platforms, SOS quoted, and start just trying to answer some journalists' queries. The benefits as well, you'll get those logos. You'll have been featured in those websites with logos, and you can, we call it the Shark Tank effect. Okay. If you've ever seen a product on Shark Tank, if you ever go to that website after, first thing you'll see is ads featured in Shark Tank. So if you get quoted in like 3, 4, 5 websites, which everyone's heard of, put that on the front page of your website, because your customer conversions, when they're looking for a plumber to use in your area and they click on one plumber's website and they click on your website and they go, whoa, this plumber's been featured in like big websites I've heard of, instant trust signal, high conversion. Yeah. Also, we're seeing that large language models, so your Perplexities, your Chat GPTs, they are being trained on data. And we think that from sort of early results, that training data is much, much more leaning towards tier 1 trusted sources. So that's where it's getting its training data. And if you're getting your name, your brand featured in these big publications, we're seeing clients that have worked with us for a long period of time now getting surfaced within those large language model results as well. So it's well worth doing.
That's awesome. Where can people learn more about you?
I'm on LinkedIn, Christopher Panteli, I think, or Chris Panteli, Panteli, or Linkify.io. And then on YouTube as well, Linkify.
Perfect. Thanks so much for your time, Chris. I have learned a lot, and I think my listeners have too. Thanks so much.
Oh, one more thing. They can grab a free cheat sheet if they want, where I break everything down. Where to go. I've got a really good AI prompt in there, which you can use to help speed things up with the formatting your pitches. Loads of great information. Linkify.io/cheat-sheet.
Cheat-sheet. Perfect. Yep. I'll put the link to that in the show notes for today as well. So,
all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Janice.
Alrighty, that's a wrap for today. I hope you're walking away with some fresh ideas and maybe a little boldness to reach out to reporters with some great ideas that will help you and benefit your own business. We'll share all the links we talked about in our show notes for today at myweeklymarketing.com/103. If today's episode sparked something for you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts by DMing me on Instagram at Janice Hossteiger Marketing. And hey, if you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor? Share it with a friend who could use a little marketing inspiration as well. If you haven't already, make sure and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I've got some amazing guests and more actionable tips coming your way. And trust me, you don't want to miss out. Thanks for joining me. See you next time. Bye for now.